Welcome back and thanks for staying with the SABC News channel. Now, yesterday, we took a moment to focus on the legal showdown that's currently taking place in Durban regarding the dispute around the ownership of the iconic Umkhonto weSizwe trademark. In studio, we actually had the president of an organization called Intellectual Property Justice, or IP Justice, and that's Tebogo Sithathu, who claims his organization has links to the Legacy Projects organization, which reportedly owns this coveted trademark. Now, I took a moment to ask Tebogo to speak to us about what Legacy Project actually does and the links they have to the MK logo. Take a listen.
I'm here to actually set the record straight.
Sure.
I had in your introduction, you introduced me as part of the Legacy Project. I was going to be part of the Legacy Project. I've provided some documentation to that effect. So we were in negotiation with a director on the Legacy Project, Mr. Mangisi Khumalo. So Mr. Mangisi Khumalo was the one we were engaging with, and we had agreed that I was going to be a director and part of the Legacy Project in terms of assisting with the programs going forward. But what actually transpired at the later stage, it seems as if there's some internal fighting amongst themselves. So I had to come and set the record straight because there's been a lot of confusion around this. We have had an agreement with Mr. Mangisi Khumalo, but he's since gone AWOL on us. But let's go back to the case.
Hold on. What you're saying is important, though, because then what connection do you have to this trademark?
Absolutely.
If you're not part of this organization yet?
Yeah, I'm going to explain. We were engaging exactly on that note, that the Legacy Project owns the trademark.
Right.
That one doesn't change. It's a fact. If you do the search, the Legacy Project NPO owns the trademark, and that is why we were in conversation with them. That is myself as IP Justice. I was in conversation with them and they wanted to rope me in there up until it surfaced that Mr. Mangisi Khumalo did not consult with the other directors in that line. But what I appreciate about the truth coming out about the spear and the spear and the shield device, which is in contestation in court, is that it is owned by a third party. So it's not owned by MK, neither is it owned by ANC.
Right.
And which begs the question, why is the ANC taking MK party to court on something that they do not own?
As you can see, a lot coming out of that discussion, and no surprises, it's garnered a lot of reaction. It seems there's another side of this coin, and for that, let's bring in our guest, Rapitse Moncho, who reached out to us saying that he actually disputes the version of events as outlined by Tebogo Sithathu, and joins us now in studio. Moncho is one of the directors of an organization called MK Legacy. Okay, lovely to have you on the program, sir. Thanks for making time. A couple of things that need to be ironed out as a start, and you and I kind of touched on this off air. There's legacy projects as we've understood it in the public domain, and now I'm introducing something called MK Legacy. Please help us draw the distinction between the two before we get into, I suppose, some of the issues that you have with what Tebogo had to say yesterday.
MK Legacy Project is the owner of the trademark.
Right.
That is being contested. I don't know what Legacy Project that young boy was referring to. But I was quite surprised that you guys are entertaining a press statement that is false. It was quite surprising that I see you, this young boy comes here, he says, actually, no, I'm not part of the logo, and yet he had sent you a statement that says so. That is where the difference is, the lie and the truth.
All right, so as far as you're concerned, Legacy Projects doesn't really exist. The correct term is MK Legacy. And I'll speak about Tebogo and I suppose how he actually arrived at the seat, right? There had been a couple of reports, it's not just a story that we ran with, that purportedly put him as a legitimate voice and a legitimate authority as part of an organization that's had rights to the MK logo. And you're right, because of the questions I asked, he then admitted that in fact he's not part of the organization. But I think it's important to just put that out there and state how he actually arrived here. But from your vantage point and where you're sitting, the correct name of the organization is actually MK Legacy, you say?
We have registered ourselves as MK Legacy.
Right.
And we can't be talking about that young boy as part of us or as somebody who was potentially going to be part of us.
When did you realize, I beg your pardon?
He goes about calling himself part of us, or he was going to be part of us. He was never going to be part of us. And I told him that. When I saw the press statement, somebody sent me the press statement to say, oh, Rapitse, you say you guys are the one who registered this thing. Here's somebody who claims to be the owner of this thing. I called him. It's me who called him. I said, stay away from the media. He agreed. He said, Director Rapitse, I agree, I will stay away from the media. Then next thing I see him here yesterday. What was that about? Why is it that the executive producer or the SABC did not check his bona fides? The project is registered under CIPC. It's got a registered trademark. All you needed to do is to just search and you'll find who the directors were. He is not part of them.
Right. And yesterday he said as much. All right, and I'll take that. There's clearly a lot taking place with the organization itself, and it's so ironic that we got pulled into this because part of what we wanted to ascertain is how the legitimate owners of the logo feel about the litigation that's currently taking place. And we unwittingly then opened up what seems to be a lot of discussions that are taking place behind closed doors. Now that you've set the record straight, I wonder if we can have the discussion around the logo, right? Which is what our interest was. Does MK Legacy have a position around what's taking place in court between the ANC and the MK party?
No, we don't have a position, because what we did is that we had ceded the rights to the ANC. It's all in the court papers. We signed what was called the deed of transfer, transferring our rights to the ANC. And therefore, we cannot interfere with the court procedures. The matter is a matter between the ANC itself and the party. That is what is happening. So we don't have an opinion. It is the court who is vested with judicial power as to what that position should be. It's not our business to be interfering with what the court is doing.
When you say you've ceded your rights to the ANC, just for our viewers watching, what does that mean in layman's terms?
In layman's terms, is that the trademark has now been given over to the ANC, and the ANC are the legitimate owners now, as we speak, of the trademark.
That's quite the statement you're making from my vantage point. When did this happen?
I think we gave it to them last year. Last year.
So
You should have actually, Ayanda, you should have read pages 71, 72, and 73 of the court papers. It is all there. It is all there.
it's difficult to...
It should not be surprising you that, that this thing has been in the court and it's in the court papers.
So then let me ask this question. In your mind, what then is the dispute between the ANC and MK if, in fact, you as the owners of this icon have already ceded rights of the trademark to the ANC? That just... What's the case about then?
The case is not between the MK Legacy project. It is the case sitting in court.
Correct.
Between the ANC and the party. That is where the case is. It is not us who now surrendered the rights to the ANC who have taken the matter to court. Why must we take the matter to court when we have given the rights of this thing to the ANC? You should have read that thing.
I think you're missing my question slightly, respectfully, sir.
Yes.
What I'm asking is, if the rights of something that legally belongs to you are with the ANC, it might boggle the mind to anyone watching why the ANC would then even need to go to court in this particular argument. Because the perception, at the very least, that exists in public is that neither the ANC nor the MK party has this logo registered. But you do. And you're saying now that the rights you enjoyed in that registration and now with the ANC.
Can I ask a question? Did you read pages 71, 72, and 73?
Well, that's a very specific part of the papers that I haven't. I'll be very honest with that. Right.
Because that part of the question you're asking is very clear that we, as the ones who then registered it initially, then took that trademark and said, actually, let's give it over to the ANC. We did that legally. And that process was done, and it's in the court papers.
All right. In your mind then, how do you foresee how this MK logo, okay, let me ask the question in this way. Does MK Legacy still use this logo?
We use it, you can see.
Right.
I'm using it.
Yeah.
We use it.
Even whilst you've acceded the rights to the ANC. Help us understand that dynamic then.
No. We use this. In fact, this was created in 2016. This, before we ceded the rights. Mm-hmm. But if we need to get permission, we'll have to go to the ANC to say, we need to get permission to use the logo. Mm-hmm. And I do not see any hindrance that the ANC will give us to say, no, you can't. Because it is in their interest to promote the sacrifices that MK people had done in the past. It's in their interest.
All right. As a parting shot, you don't have a position as an organization around what's taking place in court, but I'm sure you have a view of what you hope might be the outcome on the other side of this, given the fact that you've had interactions with the ANC about this logo.
The matter is in court. My view is that let us abide by Section 165, which says that the court is the one that has been vested with the rights of making decisions. My own view is I do not see any hindrance whatsoever, absolutely no hindrance, that the court will make a just decision in whatever way they wish to. But we must remember that the sacrifices that people died for must be the sacrifices we are living for. We cannot have a situation where people are now vandalizing the sacrifices made by others.
All right. Rapitse Moncho, thanks very much indeed for speaking to us and setting the record straight, at least from your vantage point. We appreciate you coming through and reaching out to the SABC
I do
News
want
channel.
to ask you a question still. What happened to your editorial and research component on this story? You give an you give somebody who actually lied to you. He lied. He lied to you.
Right.
And then what is going to happen? Because the right thing to do would be that you guys must take action against him. He must not be on air. And he must apologize to his political party that he actually misrepresented the truth, because he brought his organization into disrepute.
Right.
He lied on their behalf. He came here, he lied, and you guys allowed that.
I think the sanctions that exist between him and his party obviously need to take place, whatever that looks like. The information at our disposal at the time of the interview suggested, as I mentioned, that he was a legitimate member of Legacy Projects, and it was revealed in our probing of him when he sat here that that wasn't the case. I accept there were misses along the way, and that's why it was important for us to also allow you an opportunity to speak to us the way you have. But did you do a
research on this boy? He calls himself a commander.
Oh, that didn't take place here. And I'm very loath to also go down that route with respect, sir.
No. You must do a KYC of a person when he comes here. You should have done a KYC on me to check whether I'm legitimate. I sent through to you guys a CYPC. My name is there. He has given you a CYPC of this organization that owns or that owned the trademark. Didn't. So
All right.
you really did a shoddy job.
Point well made. We appreciate you speaking to us. I do have to close our discussion, but thank you nonetheless for popping by. And I think we're always open to being held accountable at moments where we might have erred. But Rapitse Moncho, thanks very much once again. Rapitse is part of the MK Legacy organization, speaking to us on the SABC News Channel.